Last night, I was sitting in the control room of Substation 7, watching the voltage meters flicker in their endless dance when I first heard it. That low, guttural hum that didn't belong to any transformer I knew. I've been working night shifts at the municipal power grid for 3 months. The pay was decent, the work was solitary, and that's exactly what I needed after the divorce. Substation 7 sat 5 miles outside town, surrounded by overgrown fields and a forest that pressed against the chain-link fence like it was trying to reclaim the land. My supervisor, Dale, had trained me for 2 weeks before leaving me alone. Just watch the gauges, he'd said. If anything goes red, call it in. Otherwise, you're basically a well-paid security guard. He'd laughed, but there was something in his eyes I didn't understand then. The control room was a rectangle of humming equipment, flickering screens, and the constant buzz of electricity flowing through lines that powered 40,000 homes. Outside, the substation sprawled across 2 acres. A maze of transformers, circuit breakers, and metal towers connected by thick power lines that sang in the wind. That hum started around 2:47 a.m. I know because I just logged the hourly readings in the maintenance book. It was different from the normal electrical drone, deeper, almost rhythmic like breathing. I stood up from my desk and walked to the window overlooking the yard. The security lights cast everything in harsh sodium yellow. The transformers stood like sleeping giants, their cooling fins creating geometric shadows. Nothing moved, but that hum continued, rising and falling. I grabbed my flashlight and headed outside. Protocol said to stay in the control room unless there was an emergency, but 3 months of nothing had made me complacent. The night air was cold, sharp with the ozone smell that always hung around high-voltage equipment. I walked the perimeter, checking each transformer. The hum seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. As I rounded the eastern array, my flashlight beam caught something that made my stomach drop. Fresh footprints in the gravel. Bare footprints. Human-sized but wrong somehow. The toes were too long, spread too wide. The hum grew louder. I spun around, flashlight cutting through the darkness. That's when I saw him standing by Transformer 3. A man, or what looked like a man, completely naked, his skin pale as moonlight. He stood perfectly still, staring up at the power lines overhead. "Hey," I shouted. "This is restricted property. You need to leave." He didn't move, didn't even acknowledge me. The hum intensified, and I realized with creeping horror that it was coming from him. His mouth hung open, and that deep, resonant sound poured out like he was a human tuning fork. I reached for my radio. "Dale? Dale, we have an intruder at the substation. I need." The figure's head snapped toward me with mechanical precision. His eyes were completely black, reflecting the security lights like polished stone. Then he smiled, and I saw his teeth, too many teeth, arranged in rows like a shark. I ran. Pure instinct. My boots pounded against gravel as I sprinted back toward the control room. Behind me, I heard the sound of footsteps, not running, but walking at an impossibly fast pace like someone had sped up a film. I burst through the control room door and slammed it shut, throwing the deadbolt. My hands shook as I grabbed the phone to call the police. But when I looked out the window, he was gone. The yard was empty. The hum had stopped. The police arrived 20 minutes later. They found the footprints, photographed them, measured them, looked at me with barely concealed skepticism. "Probably some tweaker," one officer said. "They wander out here, sometimes looking for copper to steal." But I knew what I'd seen. That wasn't human. Dale showed up the next evening before my shift. He looked tired, older than his 50 years. "You saw one of them," he said quietly. It wasn't a question. "One of what?" He sat down heavily in the desk chair. "We don't really know. They've been around since the substation was built in 1967. Always on night shift. Always between 2 and 4 a.m. They're attracted to the electromagnetic fields, we think. The high voltage draws them. Why didn't you warn me? Would you have believed me? Would you have taken a job?" He rubbed his face. "They don't hurt anyone. They just appear. Watch. Hum. And then they leave. Every night worker sees them eventually. Some quit. Some stay. I've been here 23 years, and I've seen them maybe 40 times. What are they? No idea. Management knows, but they bury it. can't have word getting out that our power infrastructure is haunted, can they? He stood up to leave, then paused at the door. Just stay inside when you hear the hum. Don't go looking for them. They're more curious when you engage. That was 6 hours ago. It's 2:30 a.m. now, and I'm sitting at this desk, watching the clock tick toward 2:47. The gauges are all green. The power flows like blood through arteries, feeding the sleeping town. And I can hear it starting again, that low, resonant hum, rising from the darkness outside. Through the window, I see 3 of them now, standing between the transformers, staring up at the lines, their mouths open in silent song. The lights in the control room just flickered, and one of them is walking toward my door.